Well, ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to the Ingham Institute Annual Research Excellence Awards for 2021. And I want to start by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we're broadcasting from today. That's the Cabrogal clan of the Doyle Nation, and pay my respects to their elders, past, present and emerging. And I'm mindful that the traditional owners that we acknowledge have been healing and teaching on this land for many thousands of years, and it just adds another element to what we do here in the Ingham Institute. So as I said, a very warm welcome. We're coming to you from the boardroom, and we're having a hybrid event today. So we have our presenters and our award winners here in the Ingham boardroom, and then we have people, of course, joining us online. And it's exactly the same as we did last year. We're managing through COVID and needed to have a virtual event, but we're very hopeful of having a major event next year with 550, 600 people live to celebrate face-to-face in the way that we truly love to do. I'm very proud to be celebrating and recognising our wonderful researchers and those that work with them and do such an incredible job. And frankly, it's an honour for us at the Ingham Institute to work with you and host this event. What I would like to do up front is talk about our sponsors for a moment, or thank our sponsors, and I'll probably make a comment on each of them as we present the awards, but would like to acknowledge the Lady Mary Fairfax Trust, been supporters for many years, the Liverpool Catholic Club, and welcome to Greg Richardson, President of the Liverpool Catholic Club, and I'll come back to speak a little more about the Catholic Club later on. The Perich Group, who are very well known to most of you, South West Sydney Local Health District, our wonderful partners and next door neighbours, and finally the Ingham Institute. So the Ingham, of course, is sponsoring one of these awards tonight. So it's been an interesting year, and in a moment I'll ask, in fact, Prof Bouquet could perhaps make his way to the podium as I speak. But it's been another interesting year. You hear it called interesting, difficult, challenging, unprecedented. I think there's a lot of words you could use for this year and perhaps last year. And there have been many disruptions. But one of the things that has struck me is, firstly, the way the researchers and the teams that work here have found ways to push through and wherever possible continue the research, clinical trials, in fact kick off new clinical trials in the space of COVID, but manage through this difficulty. And at the same time, of course, with so many of our clinicians, healthcare workers dealing with what Liverpool Hospital and the rest of the LHD and hospitals across the state and the country had to deal with in COVID. And we truly want to acknowledge and recognise that Herculean effort, truly amazing, and we're very, very grateful. So with that, I'll hand across to Professor Bouquet, our Research Director, who really needs no introduction.
Good, thank you very much indeed. That's who I am, I've just discovered because I sat on myself. So, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, friends, and everyone out there in Adventureland, is that right? Because we're broadcasting. How far are we broadcasting? Worldwide. Okay, I better take out the right. This is not my shopping list, it's my talk. So I too would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the lands in which we sit and meet and stand. These lands have been and always will be Aboriginal lands. And I think we should all pay our respects to those custodians, past and present. I was reminded by a guest that we had from Israel many years ago, 2 to 3 years ago, and I was reminded that so many million of Aboriginal footsteps had walked on our lands, and so I think it is important that we not just acknowledge it in the sense that we acknowledge, we really do acknowledge them. So this is a very special time for us at the Ingham Institute, a time to pause, to acknowledge and to celebrate. There is much to acknowledge. We have survived, all of us. We've survived intact during a pandemic that has killed so many people across the globe and continues to kill so many people. We have to acknowledge the enormous effort and sacrifice that many of our clinician scientists have made on the front line, testing our community, managing seriously ill patients in our ICUs and our wards. We have to praise the huge effort made by our nursing, allied health and population health researchers who mobilised and redirected their workforce to map and trace thousands of patients, 28,000 patients in our community. Everybody in this community, and especially our researchers, just redirected their efforts. You'd go to an ICU ward and you'd find a professor of whatever it is doing a ward round, nothing to do with ICU. You'd go to a COVID ward and doctors who would normally be researching and talking research would be looking after COVID patients. And I think that's something to celebrate. So we have to thank our executive, that's Doyle, and our university partners, our LHD, our clubs, our local clubs, for ensuring that we were able to continue our research safely during this very difficult time. And Ingham Institute continued to work right throughout the pandemic. Many of the other institutes closed their doors, we did not. We continued to work. Everyone who has been involved in this mighty endeavour should be celebrated and awarded. Our research institute, Ingham, has been primarily driven by the vision of its founders, men and women who work and who are born and who thrived in our district. And the vision was to foster better care and better outcomes for our community in southwestern Sydney. That was what they wanted to do. And it's difficult to identify any of our research streams or any of our research groups or any individual in our research family that has not fully engaged in working to translate that vision over the last decade. Therefore, although the awards that we announced today are made to individuals, they are made in the spirit that each and every one of our researchers are celebrated and are awarded. For a very young institute, the Ingham Institute continues to develop and to contribute. We're only 10 years old. I'm a little bit older than that. And like all good institutions, it is now a time for us to recalibrate, to pause, and to reposition ourselves. An institute that doesn't stop to envisage what it has done, where it is and where it's going, is not really doing the work that it's supposed to do in terms of research. The future of research at Ingham's is very, very exciting. We are poised to establish a one institute with 3 research centres in southwestern Sydney. This is quite unique. One at Liverpool, which is going to be expanded quite significantly. A new one at Macarthur, $57 million that Professor Simmons has raised personally to establish a very exciting research centre. Isn't that exciting? You know, a new research institute within 8 kilometres or 10 kilometres from here, $57 million linked at one arm to our clinical school, Western Sydney University, and the other one to the new hospital at Campbelltown. Congratulations to everyone who's contributed, and especially to the very, very, very generous donors that have made that possible. So this is a unique opportunity which is seen as an exemplar for future research in New South Wales. I can tell you that the Ministry of Health is quite amazed at our ability to have a one institute and 3 centres. Each centre will drive research which is aligned to the health needs of our community. And the next sentence is very important, and it will aim to have both a local and a global impact. Many of our researchers have had global impacts, but we are aiming that each of these centres will indeed be acknowledged for contribution towards better global health. So thank you very much. What was your name again? Daryl. Thank you very much indeed. And I'll let you carry on. Good.
Thank you, Les. And while Les often gives me a hard time, I must say, Les, we're very fortunate to have you. The work that you put in at the front and behind the scenes to better research, support research, along with everything you do across the LHD is just remarkable, and we're very grateful. So thank you, Les, and thanks for those opening comments. And what I'd like to do now is officially commence the award ceremony and go straight to our very first award. And the first award today is the Early Career Researcher Award. Now, this award acknowledges an individual who has attained a PhD less than 5 years ago and has made significant contributions to the field of research. To present this award, I'd like to introduce Professor Valsa Epen, also a wonderful, passionate researcher. And as many of you will know, Valsa leads the Child and Adolescent Psychiatry Research Group here at the Ingham. So welcome, Valsa.
Thank you very much indeed, Daryl. It's indeed a great pleasure and honour for me to be part of this award ceremony where Frances Doyle is getting the Early Career Research Award. And for the last some years, from 2017 onwards, she's been the project manager and clinical psychologist for a program called Watch Me Grow Real. And this involved recruiting close to 800 mums and babies from the birthing unit at Liverpool Hospital and follow them up. No mean feat at all, I can tell you that. And despite COVID and a lot of challenges that put in terms of doing the follow-ups at the right time, accessing mums and babies to come in or get the assessments done, during all that, Frances showed the leadership. And we work in that first 2,000 days from pregnancy to start of school. And Frances had her own first 2,000 days during that time as well. And so despite all that, she kind of excelled, has significantly produced papers and also contributed to teaching. And the overall research during these couple of last years has been incredibly challenging, but kudos to everyone who pulled together what we could do and how we pivot. That's kind of the new word, isn't it? We all had to do that quite a number of times, pivoting to various ways of achieving the outcomes that we were. And so the babies were 3 years old in 2021, and we are closing that study with good hands and handover. So this is a remarkable victory and a kind of an achievement celebration for the project as well as for Frances's leadership in that project. So very, very, very pleased.
We'll just move across that way a little. And congratulations. Over that way a little bit. Not too far. Not too far. There we go. Congratulations, and if you'd like to say a few words, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Do you want me to hold that?
Oh, fantastic, thank you. Okay. So thank you so much for this award. It is such a privilege to be able to receive it today. It has been an absolute honour being able to work since 2017 here at the Ingham Institute and be also associated with the South Western Sydney region and Liverpool Hospital, where we did recruit those 800 mums who have continued to show up here at the Ingham Institute and bring their children in time and time again so that we could understand those early developmental pathways to children's mental health problems and their well-being, of course, because not all of our kids end up with mental health problems. But it's been a lovely journey that we've had with the Ingham Institute along the way to be able to further develop our research. So thank you to the Ingham Institute for that. I'd also like to thank the University of Sydney and Western Sydney University, who have employed me over the years and allowed me to undertake this kind of research. The NHMRC, who has funded our research teams, which have been led by Professor Mark Dadds, Valsa Epen as well, and all the many people who contribute to that, our research assistants, our volunteer students. There's been so many hands on deck to be able to help with getting the babies through the lab. I've had so many people blow bubbles and sing nursery rhymes, and that's how we do our research. But that's been a huge thing that we've had lots of different people helping with that. Of course, we couldn't do the research that we do without the families, and they're the ones who participate, who let us understand their children's minds, and who contribute in that way too. So they have always contributed in such a great way. And of course, I couldn't do what it is that I do without my family supporting me, including my husband Ash, who I believe is watching at the moment. So a big shout out to you and a big thank you to all of those who've really helped me to get to this point. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Frances, and congratulations. And one of the things I love is researchers get up and talk. They don't talk about themselves, what a great job they talk about their research. And we really love hearing about it. Can never hear enough. And thank you, Velsa. So our next presenter is Mr. Greg Robertson. Greg is president of the Liverpool Catholic Club. And the Liverpool Catholic Club have been generous supporters of the Ingham for many years. They've supported PhD programs and they've supported this award for many years. But also they do so much beyond that. And one thing people might not be aware of, when the vaccination clinics were about to be set up, we got a call from Greg's CEO. And I'm sure, Greg, you're in the middle of turmoil, working out how to manage the clubs through everything that was happening. But their first thought was to say, could we offer our facility up as a vaccination clinic? And most people won't know that, but I thought, what a generous offer when you're in the middle of such a challenging time. So, Greg, welcome, and if you could come across and present this High Degree Student Award. Thank you.
Thank you, Daryl. On behalf of the Liverpool Catholic Club, I'm proud to support and present this award today to a highest degree student who has demonstrated significant progress towards their degree, clinical significance in their research topic, publications, innovations, development of research protocols and collaboration. Dr. Mei Ling Yap was awarded the Best of Best Health Services finalist at the Clinical Oncology Society of Australia Awards in 2019. Dr. Yap has also completed 4 population-based studies on the radiotherapy utilisation of cancer patients in the 45 and up study in New South Wales. These studies resulted in 4 first author publications in International Radiology, Oncology journals and the Medical Journal of Australia. I welcome Dr. Mei Ling as the recipient of this award.
If you move across that way. Are we getting a photo with these, Ellie, as we go? Or no? Okay, so there we go. We just hand that across. Congratulations, Mei Ling. And if you'd like to say a few words, we're actually not getting a photo, so we can...
Okay. Thank you very much to Gregory and the Catholic Club for generously supporting this award. And many thanks to the Ingham Institute for this honour. And thank you to the Ingham Institute for supporting clinician academics like myself, for supporting women researchers and researchers in cancer. I'd like to also thank the Southwest Sydney Clinical School of UNSW, and to thank my marvellous PhD supervisors, Professor Michael Barton at the Ingham Institute and Professor Diane O'Connell from the Daffodil Centre. They've given so many hours of support and teaching to me, and I certainly couldn't have done this without them. And a special thanks to Professor Barton for encouraging me to undertake this PhD. I think it took him about 2 years to finally convince me to sign up, and it's probably been one of the best career decisions that I've made. I'd like to thank my research colleagues at CCOR, Ingham Institute, as well as the Daffodil Centre, who've really supported me and taught me so much, including teaching a humble clinician how to code in SAS, which was, I think, a big undertaking. And I'd like to thank my clinical colleagues at Liverpool and Macarthur Cancer Therapy Centre, including the director, Dr. Viet Do, who has supported me to undertake my research activities, and especially my clinical colleagues at Campbelltown, who have covered me for those times where I've been overseas presenting research and so on. And I'd also like to thank my family, my husband and my 2 children. All 3 of them actually arrived in my life after I signed up for this PhD. But interestingly, I think have given me extra motivation and inspiration to keep going at it and finally submit a few months ago. And thank you to my children's grandparents, because I think it's been a multi-generational effort to actually undertake this PhD and submit it. And lastly, thank you to all the community members of Southwest Sydney, including those who have been diagnosed with cancer and their families. My research interest is in inequities in access to cancer care and trying to close the gap, and I think the community members in Southwest Sydney have been a particular inspiration for me and continue to inspire me every day. Thank you.
Thank Congratulations, Mei Ling, and research is a team effort, isn't it? And it's not just your colleagues at the Ingham Institute and the hospital, it's your family and extended family, so congratulations. So the next award is the Excellence in Teaching Award, which recognises an individual with a strong influence who has motivated and inspired students to learn, and what could really be more important. This award is sponsored by our wonderful partners, South West Sydney Local Health District. You're perhaps aware, but we have over 365 researchers working here at the Ingham Institute today. However, we're proud to say that half our researchers are clinicians, allied health members, nurses, clinical trial coordinators, and teaching staff from our university partners, UNSW and Western Sydney Uni. And many of them supervise multiple PhD students. So I'd like to invite Associate Professor Therese Becker from the Institute's Circulating Tumour Cell Research Group to speak about why she nominated the winning award recipient. Thanks, Theresa.
Hello. So my name is Therese Becker, as Daryl just introduced me. So research and education and research and teaching goes really hand in hand. In fact, we discover new things in doing research, but we really want to teach it to the younger people that come up. And ideally, we need a scientist who is fantastic in discovering new things and then teaches it to the next generation and students. And in 2014, the Ingham Institute was able to actually attract such a scientist all the way from Queensland. And she was actually supported by Cancer Institute, New South Wales, Future Research Leader Fellowship, and she certainly has emerged as a leader by now. And that's why I recommended her to get this award.
Congratulations, Tara. There we go.
Thanks.
And would you like to say a few words?
Yes,
Of course.
thanks. Yeah, so I guess in academic life there are a couple of real joys, one of which is the discovery that comes with research, so the finding of something that is really new. And one of the other things is to be able to pass it on to students and to teach them in turn how to make those discoveries for themselves. So I've been incredibly privileged to be able to combine research and teaching in my career. And I'd like to thank the incredibly supportive colleagues at Western Sydney University, here at the Ingham Institute like Therese, and across the road at Liverpool Hospital and throughout the South West Sydney Local Health District, in always being there when I have asked them for help in both research, in developing undergraduate teaching programs, in coming on as co-supervisors of PhD students, and in coming on board to panels or workshops to help train those higher degree research students. I'd also like to thank the students that I have worked with directly. They're incredibly talented and incredibly dedicated, and they really make my job very easy with the amount of themselves that they put into their work and their passion for improving the health of people in the South West Sydney Local Health District and beyond. And of course, I would like to thank my family, who copes incredibly well, especially my lovely husband, with me doing PhD reviews at all hours of the day and night. And often you'll see a cup of coffee coming sideways on my Zoom calls at the moment, which is him bringing that in for me to help me get my way through those PhD reviews. So generally, I'm really honoured to be able to receive an award for something that is so rewarding just to do as a job. So thank you.
Good on you, Tara. And as we've been doing Zooms, because Tara pops up in all sorts of committees, and not only has the coffee been popping up, but there's a cat been coming past. It's a dog. A small animal's been coming past. So the next award is sponsored by the Perich Group, and again, the Perich name in South West Sydney is very well known. Tony and Ron Perich are very generous supporters of the robotics work that is done here at the Institute, and give us many other donations towards all sorts of things. In fact, another one that might be announced before too long. So the Best Research Support Award recognises a program administrative support staff member who's made an extraordinary contribution to their research group. And we know that the support people are absolutely critical to the success of research, and things wouldn't happen without them. In fact, often they're the quiet achievers behind the scenes. So this recipient was nominated by our next presenter, Professor David Simmons, and David's a wonderful, passionate researcher and clinician in the diabetes field, and very excited about the new institute, I think it's fair to say, in Macarthur. Thank you, David.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. So it is really, it's actually an honour and a privilege to be part of this celebration of Claudia Bishop's work as a clinical trial coordinator. She's got kind of a laser-like focus on things that she does, and then I try to dissipate that across as many things as I possibly can. So she started off with an NHMRC-funded trial called Toboggan, which is the treatment of booking gestational diabetes. So that's 3,500 we've now recruited. And at the same time, we were lucky enough to, or fortunate enough to get one of the South West Sydney LHD academic units. And so at the same time as setting up this huge study across Australia and including Austria, and now including Sweden and India, and nearly landing hopefully this year, or will land this year, at the same time as that, she was setting up all the other trials with our academic unit. So in the end, we had about 12 trials running, and you're overseeing those, training our research nurses, some of which had never done really research or trials before, helping the students, helping the PhD students. And every single time I came along, it was, yes, and this is what you need to do, and this is how. And I go, well, what about that? No, you can't do that. Oh, okay. So it's really a quite phenomenal support to have someone like Claudia working with you to make sure that everything works and rolls, and taking those extra efforts to make sure that everything really is appropriate, fully in place, and is going to be successful. And really, most of our success is because of Claudia and the colleagues that she's trained and worked with. Absolutely phenomenal. Obviously want to thank Western Sydney University and others. I'll leave most of this to Claudia, but a phenomenal job across really with the Ingham, which has also supported Toboggan, and also with Sphere. Ask her to come along and say, we need to set up this GP network so we can set up some more trials in the community. Oh, okay then, and coordinates our diabetes quality network. Absolutely phenomenal breadth and depth, and a real pleasure to work with you, Claudia. Thank you.
Congratulations, Claudia.
Thank you so much.
There you go.
So we don't get a picture.
So thank you. I'm really grateful and honoured to receive this Research Excellence Award, and thank you, Prof Simmons, for the nomination. So I've worked with Prof Simmons now for almost 6 years, coordinating and project managing a number of his clinical trials and programs, in particular Toboggan, which I just mentioned, and we're nearly at recruitment target, so we're really excited about that. And most recently, the NHMRC partnership-funded Pacifica Preventing Diabetes program, which is looking at lifestyle intervention through community activation and peer support in the Pacifica communities. The last 2 years have been really challenging for us in the clinical trials and research environment. We've faced numerous delays and have to completely change the way we conduct our clinical trials, which has been a little bit difficult because clinical trials is very just stringent. But we've had to become flexible, proactive, forward-thinking, and adapt our processes to facilitate ongoing trial activities. And I think we've done really well considering all the challenges we've had to face. I'd like to acknowledge my colleagues who, without their hard work and support, my work wouldn't be possible. I'm really lucky to be part of a great team, but in particular, I'd like to thank Lisa Vitzer for her support on Toboggan, and Rhonda Thompson for her cultural support on the Pacifica program, and all the teams that support Prof Simmons Diabetes Research and Education. And lastly, I'd like to thank the Ingham Institute for this recognition, Western Sydney University, where I am based, and of course my family, who always support me. Awards and recognitions such as this not only support and enthuse us, the recipients, but also those we work with. So again, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Claudia. As I said, everyone speaks about their research. I used to work for an organisation that had a lot of salespeople, and they would speak about themselves and nothing else. But so lovely to hear the way everyone talks so passionately about what they do. So our final award today is the prestigious Lady Mary Fairfax Distinguished Researcher Award. And for those that have been around a while, you will know that Lady Mary Fairfax was one of the founding donors for the Ingham Institute. And while she lived in a very nice home in Sydney on the water, her and her husband, and I think previous generations had a beautiful farm down near Camden. In fact, some of our guests actually live on what was that farm. But I went to an event the other day where they were closing out the last of the developments on that property. So it was developed by our chair, Terry Goldacre, into a beautiful, highly regarded, highly awarded development. And as he spoke, he explained that he was inspired by Lady Mary. She wanted to give something to the community that was a lasting legacy in that development, and truly did that. And the homestead that she lived in, I think, has been restored and is part of the development. In fact, I think it's up for sale at some stage. You might need a few dollars for that, but the reality was she really wanted to give something to the community, and that was the same mindset she applied when she worked with people like Bob Ingham and Tony Perrich and Arnold Vitocco's dad to found the Ingham Institute. So this award really has some lovely heritage and connection back to where the Ingham Institute came from. And for those that aren't aware, this award recognises an individual, in fact in this case 2 individuals, that have a long-standing research career, significant research achievements, and importantly mentoring of higher degree students within South West Sydney Local Health District and I'm sure elsewhere. So this year, as I said, we have 2 winners, and that is truly because we had such phenomenal nominations, as Les knows, and Martin, who helped with the judging. We really had great nominations across all the awards. So this year we've chosen to give out 2 awards, and to present the first award, I'd like to welcome Professor Martin Gallagher. And for those of you that don't know Martin, he recently joined us as head of the Clinical School and Precinct in South West Sydney for UNSW. So welcome, Martin.
Great. Thanks, Daryl. And thanks for giving me the opportunity to present this prestigious award. I'm talking today about Ian Harris. Ian is a very rare bird. He's an academic orthopaedic surgeon, and you don't find many of them wandering the streets, I can tell you. He joined South Western Sydney in 1997 and quickly moved on to become the head of the orthopaedic department here. And he became a then Professor of Orthopaedics in 2008. He's received numerous awards throughout his career, none of them more prestigious than today's, I must add. But one of them was a little thing called an Order of Australia in 2015. Ian's focus has been upon the outcomes and appropriateness of medical care, which is an especially relevant topic, especially in the area of surgery where he works. He's received a large amount of research funding, over $30 million, with over 300 articles. He's highly cited, and as the award required, has had a prominent role in numerous higher degree research students and independent learning students across the district. He published his first book in 2016, titled Surgery, the Ultimate Placebo, which probably didn't help his relations with his colleagues. And then he's recently added a second book, was only published a month or 2 ago, called Hypocrisy, How Doctors Are Betraying Their Oath. So the clinicians in the audience, I would recommend that for your reading over the summer break, should you wish to feel good about yourself. And so the selection panel clearly realised that Ian is a most deserving recipient of the Lady Mary Fairfax Distinguished Research Prize. Okay, well done, Ian. Thanks.
You'll probably sit down for a
Okay.
Yep.
I'll sit down.
And I'll just hand this to Anne.
Yeah.
Go ahead, just so people can see it.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
There we go.
Thanks. So I guess I'll say something. I think I'll first mention the Ingham Institute because I was one of the first group of researchers that joined the building. So I was here for the opening, and when we moved up there into the office that I'm still in now, it was just sort of empty shell. We were the first people in there. And it's been a bit like that in the last year or so with COVID. But no, the place is full now, and it didn't take long for it to fill up, and now we're looking for space elsewhere. So it's been great to be part of the Ingham journey as well, along the whole path. But thanks also to all the people I work with. So everyone I do research with, from students all the way up to Justine Naylor, who's the co-director of the Whitlam Orthopaedic Research Centre. So Justine and I have been directors of that institute since it started many years ago. And also like to thank my family, in particular my wife, who has always supported my research activities. Thanks.
Thank you, Ian, and I guess as an award winner he deserves a plug. I think his book, if it's not available yet, it will be available on our website in coming days. And I remember the first time I met Ian, I was working for the Pew Synthes, and I think we went along to try and sell you something, sell you some plates and screws, but you fairly quickly steered us towards how you're going to help out with research. So that was my first exposure to Ian a number of years ago. So now I'd like to call on Professor Bouquet to present the second Lady Mary Fairfax Distinguished Researcher Award. And Prof Bouquet, of course, is our Research Director. So.
Thank you, Daryl. Unlike Martin, I can't call the recipient of the Mary Fairfax Award a rare bird. I think if I did that, I'd be worked out of Sydney, I think. But she really is a rare, well, not even a pigeon. She is a rare individual. First and foremost, Susan Connor is an outstanding doctor. She really is. Talk to any of her patients, anybody who's had the privilege of being looked after by Susie, and they say it's just, even Ian Harris wouldn't be able to complain about it. She was just, she's a phenomenal doctor. Single-handedly, she undertook to manage one of the most complex illnesses that humans know, and that's inflammatory bowel disease and Crohn's disease in particular. Inflammatory bowel disease is something that nobody wants to have. And in fact, the reason that I became a colorectal surgeon is when as a young surgeon, I saw a beautiful young lady commit suicide because of Crohn's disease. And so single-handedly, Susie Connor undertook to manage this illness in southwestern Sydney, to develop a unit single-handedly that is now not only nationally known but internationally known. So she's had a huge impact for someone who started by herself, got around her a group of absolute dedicated people, nursing staff, doctors, registrars, students, and her enthusiasm and her love of her patients and her wish to do something for this population of very unwell people has inflamed that group to become an internationally acknowledged research group in inflammatory bowel disease. So there's another thing that Susie and I and Martin share in common. We all worked at Concord Hospital, and so we are magnificent, aren't we, Martin? So, Susie, I'm so pleased to be able to welcome you, and I think you really do deserve that prize for just not only the work that you have done, but the aspiration for the work that you will do. It is quite an inspiration. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Susie.
Les, thank you so much. And I wanted to thank the Ingham really, and also I want to acknowledge Amanda Larkin actually, who's really tried to put research onto the face of our everyday life and work at Southwest Sydney. And our investment in researchers makes such an important difference to clinical care. And so I wanted to shout out, thank you so much. The Ingham's made such a difference to all of us as researchers. And also I want to also acknowledge New South Wales University, which is where I started medicine sometime in the 1990s. And I'm still very much aligned to New South Wales University and, of course, Western Sydney. now much younger university. I wanted to first, when I had a significant birthday recently, I forgot to actually acknowledge my husband. I acknowledged the other 160 people at the party, but I didn't acknowledge my husband. So I'd like to actually say one of my closest friends who I also wanted to acknowledge, Miriam Levy, said at a recent plenary talk she gave at the Centenary Institute that the most important decision you make in life is who you partner with. And I'd shout out to that as well my husband, Stephen Thackway, who I've actually been doing research with since I first started, who's a GP. Thank you so much for your support and understanding all those many late nights looking at theses, etc. And also wanted to particularly say that this is really not an award for me. It's actually for all the people I've worked with. I'm really very lucky to have worked with some amazing people over the last 20 years of my career. I want to thank Netta, who nominated me. Thank you very much, Netta. And really, we've been really lucky in inflammatory bowel disease. All the people that we work with are incredibly dedicated and love their job. And I want to also thank the patients as well, who are helping us to get research happening. And it's just such a privilege to be able to do research and to try and improve care of patients, particularly with this awful disease. So thank you so much for the award. I really feel incredibly grateful to be in the same company as Ian Harris, because I don't know if you know, but he's an amazing researcher and someone I'm just amazed that I'm even standing on the same podium as him. So thank you so much for the opportunity today and for the acknowledgement. Thank you.
Thanks, Susie. And there's a number of trends, I think, in the way people speak, and a number of things that jump out for me. And one of the words is humble. Our researchers and each of you are just so humble, and I know I could say that across the entire institute. Perhaps not when Les got up and said how good everybody was at Concord, but truly. I love that humble approach and acknowledging everybody almost but themselves. And I don't know if you realise, but it really is a privilege to work in an environment like this. And I'm looking up the back, and many of you won't have met Craig yet. He's our new Director of Philanthropy and Partnerships. And I know Craig joined us because he saw through the interview and what he learned about the Ingham, and it's been reinforced. He joined because of that passion and being amongst and around each of you and what you do, and it really is inspirational. So I've had lots of great jobs, but working here, you certainly, even though we're not doing the research, we're trying to do our bit to support that, but certainly you're in awe each day of what the people around you are doing, and it's a privilege to provide that little bit of support. And you cannot help but get caught up in this wonderful passion that each of you bring to what you do, and it came through in every speech and in every presenter's speech. So truly inspirational. So we're a little ahead of time, which is good, but I won't just ramble on, and maybe I've done enough of that already. But I do want to thank each of you for being a part of the Ingham Institute. I want to thank our partners, UNSW, Western Sydney Uni and the LHD. It truly is a unique partnership. Les and I were with Tony Penner, I think last week or late the week before, and we're able to speak with pride about how the partnership works and operates so well. And we have our moments occasionally, but in the main it is rock solid and something we're very proud of. So thank you to all our partners, and thank you to the team that I work with, who often work behind the scenes and share that privilege. So I wish you all a well-earned break. I'm sure everybody is ready for a break like never before. So fortunately we closed the Institute, but I know that doesn't mean everyone takes that time off. You may be still working, but I hope at some stage you get a wonderful rest with your family and a chance to recharge before we come back. In fact, let's not even think about next year just yet, but I wish you a wonderful chance to recharge. So thank you, and with that we'll close the event.